Welcome back to the Stick 'em Up podcast. Brundi, we are done with our divisional previews. We have looked over all 32 NHL teams, and we are into the preseason. People are actually playing games, and it's not just prospect games or training camp videos anymore. So we are getting close to the regular season being back. I think we're about a week and a half, 2 weeks out. Um, how are you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. Yeah, we are on the road to the regular season here. Uh, horrible, boring off season. So just can't wait to get things going. But like you mentioned, just finished doing the divisional previews. Took us 2 weeks, so now we're gonna take the time to kind of go back and talk a bit more about some stuff that we kind of missed. Obviously, we did the Metro division first, and then some news came out, but we didn't really want to go back to it because we were already on the next division. So we kind of briefly talked about some of this stuff here, but haven't um, fully kind of dove into discuss it. And then we got a couple
Right.
things that we haven't even mentioned or sniffed around yet. So we got some stuff there. We got the player poll done by The Athletic that we can kind of look at and talk a bit about those results. I haven't looked at
Yeah.
it fully. Um,
Okay, because I
I've
haven't
seen
seen
like
it at all.
I've seen like two or three things from it, and it kind of looks like it's all over the place a bit in terms of what players were asked. So that could be fun. And yeah, that's about what we got going on today before we just keep ramping up towards the regular season here.
Awesome. Well, with that, I guess we'll jump into some of the first news that we want to go over a little bit more. And I guess let's start at the very top of our list. The New York Rangers named JT Miller as their 29th captain in franchise history. This is if nothing else, interesting move, right? Like, this is one of the guys that's, I don't know how you make a top 5 list for polarizing players in locker rooms around the league that doesn't have this guy. And, you've got guys like Panarin who have been there for a long time. Fox has been there for quite a while and played in an elite level, and they bring this guy in, and pretty quickly he's team captain. Like, has he even played 30 games there? He has been there in the past as well, I guess, which obviously carries a good amount of weight, but this is I guess it shows that, a lot of guys do like JT Miller in the locker room, we've heard, and you got to imagine that rings really true with the Rangers.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Just when you analyze the fact that yeah, JT Miller's kind of he was on his second stint, but yeah, kind of more of a newer comer. I think it was like January or something that he got traded to the Rangers, and at the same time they have a new head coach in Mike Sullivan. So he didn't even have that back half of last season to kind of be in that locker room and see what's going on. Maybe it's got something to do with how JT Miller kind of carried himself and handled himself throughout the Four Nations process. Um,
Could be.
is definitely is probably kind of what I'm assuming. Had the most to do with this. But in terms of it, I'm okay with it. I think this is a if your plan is to you kind of got a small window here of 3 to 4 years to win a cup, basically. Yeah, I'm absolutely on board with this. I think he's probably the best to lead that group for a span of 3 or 4 years while they go all in. Um, doesn't take any shifts off, is always, you know, going as hard as kind of doing a little bit of everything. Okay, maybe actually, he does take a couple of shifts off, but again, I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I just
he
think more
can
than
be
anything,
deployed in most ways.
and I think a big part of it is how well equipped he is to deal with the media of the New York Rangers. Because obviously it's a lot different from Vancouver, kind of some of those smaller markets. And when I say smaller markets, I mean in comparison to the New York
The Ra-
Rangers in
the
Madison Square
Rangers are the
Garden.
second biggest franchise in the NHL, only to
Exactly
Toronto.
right, and the way I thought JT Miller handled himself throughout last season with all the rumors between him and Elias Pettersson and all that stuff. I thought JT Miller actually handled that stuff really well. And so when
He
you're
had,
looking
he
at
had a
like,
couple really good quotes. Him and Pedersen both handled it well. It was
yeah,
the GM and did the owners come out, or no, the president
No,
came out
yeah.
and
Which at that point, I
said
mean,
stuff
they were kind of just sick of it, you know.
it's
Um,
weird that all the guys who are like more media trained had the worse answers, really. Like you'd expect the hockey players to be the ones to kind of say the wrong
well,
thing.
I wouldn't say they really necessarily had the worst answer. I think more so they finally just said, you know what, we've had enough of it. We know one's leaving. I think once they kind of said that, I think it was basically at that point
But
their mind was already made up that one was going in.
but even if you make up your mind, you don't need to say that because that gives you less leverage for a trade. Because both the guys
They
were
already had no leverage. Everybody in the league
you
knew.
have leverage in having a guy like Miller and Pedersen. Like them
Yeah,
being
but
good is the leverage. And like
everybody in the league
they
knew they
could have
had problems.
they had problems, but you could have worked through them or tried to keep them, or at least, convey that that's an option. We don't have to trade him so that,
But like they
teams
tried
have to
that for
offer more. You don't see
months.
in handcuff. I don't think
They
they
tried
did.
it for like months
I
and
think
it
they
just
only really
never
tried shopping
improved.
them around for a little bit at the end when they had to, but either way, yeah, it's very interesting. They move out Truba, who's their captain, and then people think Kreider is going to end up being the next captain. I'm pretty
He's
sure he
moved
didn't,
out.
and then he got moved out before he got that chance, and now Miller's captain. So
I
you
think
know
he's
what?
best equipped to deal with the media as opposed to
There's a good
because the next
chance.
guy up is probably Vincent Trocheck for me. And you know, though after last season he had, do you want to put more pressure on him or do you want to just be like, hey, just keep doing your thing? We don't want to mess with how good things are going for you. And so I think this is 100% the right call
Yeah,
for the Rangers.
and you know
Miller's
what?
a guy that can take the harshness of the media and brush it off, and
Yeah,
he's going to keep everybody in line on that team. Like there's going to be no slacking or fucking around there. Like he, you know,
yeah.
is going to keep it a pretty tight ship there in terms of in the locker room.
And you know what? You brought up the Four Nations, which I think was a really good point as well. With the whole group chat thing.
Yeah,
Matthew and Brady Kachuk are running around, trying to play the media, trying to get headlines and be the one people are talking about next day. And Miller was like, "No, I just wanted to fight for my team. I wish they hadn't said stuff like that."
it really seems like he wants everything to stay in the locker room.
Yeah,
And if you're
he
the
seems like a
Rangers,
player's
honestly,
player.
that's really something you kind of want when it's a team that's that big and the media's trying to, you know, pry every little detail and story out of that locker room and put it on blast. He wants to keep it all contained and, just what's between the boys in there is between the boys in there. And that could be very huge, especially for a team like the Rangers where, how many times were we talking about them last year of this rumor coming out, this, like just it seemed like something
Yeah,
new
even
every
over the
week
last like 5
in
years,
there. Yeah.
like whoever it was fighting Gorgiev and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
like there was all that, and there was people yelling at each other, and like there's been no shortage of drama there. Maybe not as bad as Vancouver, but there's been
Yeah.
quite a bit of drama around it. So I think he's a good guy for shutting it down, despite being a bit of a magnet for it. So
Yeah. But at the same time, a magnet for it is really because of how passionate he is and wants to win.
yeah, it's because he's
Is
loud in the
really what
locker
it
room.
comes down to. Like he wants to win a cup more than anything, and sometimes that blinds him a bit. But you know what? If you got a captain that's so dead set on winning a cup and whatever it takes, there's gonna be a lot of guys in there that are gonna fall in line because you know a lot of the
Yeah.
guys are probably pretty pissed off with how last season went.
Yeah. And you know what? He also has a much lower likelihood of needing to be like traded out or having a really bad
Yeah,
contract, right? Like,
yeah,
some of these guys like Zibanejad and Panarin, they're making a decent amount of money and they're starting to fall off, it looks like a little bit. And you don't want to name a captain and then 2 years in be like, oh, this contract looks kind of rough. Like you don't want to, and they just did that with Truba as well, having to trade him for the cap. So
yeah,
you really don't want that to happen again. JT Miller I'm pretty sure he's making 8 mil even. You're not you're not worried, especially with the cap going up. But even before that,
yeah,
you're not worried about that being a bad deal.
yeah. So overall, honestly, I love it for the Rangers. Love for
Yeah,
JT Miller. I think that's just exactly what that team needs in their spot right now. And again, especially after last season with how how all over the place it seemed to be going there.
Yeah.
What do we got next up on the list here?
We have some Utah Mammoth news. Utah is expected to put Connor Ingram on waivers for the purpose of finding him a new team. Ingram is searching for a fresh start after returning from the Players Assistance Program. I don't want to misquote it, so I'm not 100% sure what he went in for. It was for
I
either
I don't even
OCD
fully
or
know.
alcoholism, I want to say, but yeah, I'm not
I
100% sure on that. But
Yeah, I can't quite remember. I don't even think in the thing I saw, I don't think it even quite said. I think it just said he was returning from the player assistance program and wanted a fresh start somewhere. So, Utah's it doesn't sound like a trade is likely. It sounds like they're first going to just put him on waivers and put that out
yeah,
there.
he's got to
Kind
get
of just
grabbed, right?
leaving it out there. I think so. The problem is though, again, is doing this in the preseason is teams are already kind of have their cap situation figured.
He
'Cause I
was a
don't know how
lightning
much
draft pick.
Ingram's making. How much is he making?
He
Like, what's
is
his contract
making.
like? I should look this up beforehand, but couldn't be bothered to.
He is making 50K under 2 mil
Okay, so that's actually not even. So that's
for
manageable
just
for
this
teams to
season.
fill. That's manageable for teams to fill. But at the same time, I mean, we know how good he can be, but haven't really gotten to see that since he's come back, so that could be a bit weary for some teams. So
It could.
I
Oh man,
I, I don't
if
really
he
know what to.
like
Yeah,
does this not scream like kind of, like it's almost exhausting because anytime a goalie is available, everyone's going to say it first. But you could do a lot worse than Connor Ingram and Stuart Skinner as a tandem combined making less than 5 mil.
but
Like,
that much of a huge upgrade over a Skinner Pickard tandem? Because
if
Pickard's
he
been good in
recovers,
Edmonton.
I think so. He put up back-to-back 907 save percentage seasons, one with 27 games played, one with 50, and that was the last 2 years of the Arizona Coyotes. They were not a good team. So putting up a 907 back-to-back with those teams is pretty solid. And he's definitely had a knack of out of nowhere just being that guy who just steals a game, 41 saves on 42 shots or something. Like if you can
Yeah,
pick him
potentially,
up for
yeah.
that cheap for completely free, like I I think taking a chance on him is pretty good. He's 28, so he's like still young. He's not going to age out.
Edmonton
You know,
would have to move someone out. They don't have the cap space.
yeah, they would have to make
Well,
some moves.
Calvin Pickard would have to
Calvin Pickard
be
would probably be
traded.
the guy.
So I can't imagine he's gonna sit there and be like, "Yeah, I'll just go rot in the AHL while you guys go on." Like he'd be
Yeah.
like, "Just get me out of here, then." Like, don't. So I guess yeah, if you move out, they could make it work
But at the
absolutely.
same time, it's not like I'm making this assumption, but there's no way Calvin Pickard has a no move, right? Like
No, yeah, no.
you can send him down and be like, "Hey, you know damn well that we have cup aspirations. We need goaltending depth. If that's not a secret, I'm sorry, but you're the third guy now." Like
But that doesn't do him any good. That doesn't get his name on the cup. That doesn't do shit for him.
should have argued for a no move clause. Send him down. You know, we need you down there just in case. Like they're trying to win the cup, and he
But
might
if
end
you're a
up playing.
player, why would you do that and be like, go rot in the AHL all year and hope and pray that both goalies get injured in the Stanley Cup final? You can come in and then you're part of this. Because otherwise,
Well,
there's not.
so
Because
every team gets like what is it like? You have do you get 50 names on the cup? Is that it? Every player that played in what is it over 40 games in the regular season, played any minutes in the playoffs.
in the Stanley
Um,
Cup final, in the Stanley Cup final.
it's not just in the playoffs.
No, I'm pretty sure it's the Cup final.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's like that the halfway mark of the season type thing, like the 40, 41 games or whatever.
I
And
wonder if
then
there's
yeah,
like
I think you got to
a
play in the Cup
50% of
final.
games in the playoffs or any game in the final.
Maybe,
But
yeah.
either way, after that, there's GMs, coaches, and then they usually just fill out the rest with all kinds of people. All the trainers. Maybe the head chef, like all kinds of stuff. You can tell them, hey, listen, you're one of our picks. We're putting your name on there because you can if they're involved in the
That
org.
doesn't matter to the player. They want to be involved. They want to be a part. They don't want to be like
it matters.
Yeah, but they don't want to be like, I sat in the AHL all year dominating, and then they put my name on the cup, even though I potentially never played a game for them all season. Like that's
like if
you'd
if
rather
they
just go
think
somewhere else and try and play some NHL games, earn another, because like you play in the AHL all year and whatnot. You're not getting another big time contract. Like that's kind of you want to still go out and just prove and play in the best league in the world, the NHL. Like the AHL is, whatever you want to call it, second best league in the world, third,
it's their minor league, but
whatever. But
if you're under contract, unless Edmonton wanted to terminate him for the cap reasons, then they could do a mutual buyout or they could trade him somewhere. But
trade him somewhere for future considerations if he wants.
But
you don't even need to get anything back because you're grabbing.
But that's the thing. That's if
free.
The team thinks he's not worth the cap hit being in the AHL because they have goaltending issues and they're one of the best candidates for maybe needing.
I'm basically just saying that if they grab Ingram and Pickard doesn't want to go be an AHL guy, just trade him. Don't force him to go down there and say, play the big role of fuck you. We're gonna control you because you're under contract. Like if the player wants out, just get rid of him then.
I would agree.
That was all my arguments. Just don't hold him hostage if he wants out.
But it's not. But they're not holding him hostage to be a dick or anything, right? In my head, if they were to hold on to him, it would be because they're like, Stuart Skinner has looked real bad in some playoff games, and we might still need you to be the backup in the playoffs. Like it would be because they want to have him in case, not just to be fuck you, we're keeping you.
Yeah, but my whole thing is just if Pickard wants out, then let him go. Because if you're making a move for a goalie and you've got a goal that says, hey, I've been here, I became the starter in the playoffs and you guys don't want me anymore, then just let me go try my luck in Philly or something, which we'll get into the Philly goaltending situation here, but let him go do his thing. But yeah, going back to the basis of this all. Hopefully Connor Ingram can find a good home. Hopefully he's doing well, and we'll see what ends up happening there. Because again, it's all kind of rumors right now. We don't know the exact how it's all going to go down, but it sounds likely that he'll go on waivers and be off to a new home sometime soon here. I imagine sometime during the training camp preseason time here.
Yeah,
I think is the timeline we're looking at.
Speaking of Philly and goaltenders, we kind of got two bits of news on that front. One of them being that Carter Hart has come out and said that he will not be signing with Philly. He wants a completely fresh start. He's not going there. And it does sound like he's not going to anywhere in Canada either. It's so much more of a news story here than it is in the States. Hockey in general gets buried a little bit in the news down there, but especially, a Hockey Canada thing, like, any sense. Given week, there's probably a much worse story about an NFL player, so it's not going to make headlines. So he can lay low a bit better there, so which does make sense for him. But I am interested to see
absolutely
how quickly and where he ends up getting picked up.
Yeah, because I think, a lot of people were kind of under the thought process of, it being like it was, a year and a half ago type thing of, Carter Hart's going to sign and he's immediately going to be a starter. It's like that's not the case because he hasn't played in a year and a half. He didn't go overseas. Like he essentially was retired because he was not playing. So I mean, Philly was kind of the only place where he could probably return and immediately step in and be the starter. Whereas I think wherever he ends up going, it is going to be he's kind of going to be a backup for the season. And it's going to be, just play some games, earn your reps, and we'll see where it goes. And,
keep an eye on him in training and stuff.
Yeah, and then we'll make a decision, at the end of the year at the trade deadline if you're going to be our guy or what. Like, so I think wherever he goes, it's going to be a backup role. Where does he end up going? I'm not too sure. There's numerous places. But the biggest thing is, he's obviously not going to be going back to Philly and Philly, who just traded away Ivan Fedotov, which, you know, they kind of needed to, because you're going to be running a tandem of, Urson and Vladar, which isn't awful. Like, I think it's serviceable. Is it going to be
Yeah.
like anything outstanding? No, but I
It
think
feels like a rebuilding team's
it's
goalie situation.
yeah,
It makes sense. They're not riding full on AHLers, but it's nothing to write
yeah,
home about.
exactly. And Fedotov, I don't even know what's going to be happening there in Columbus with, Merzlikins, and
I think
I
I
guess it's
think
maybe
they're
some insurance if Jack Greaves isn't quite ready. I think it's
yeah.
just kind of extra insurance there just in case,
I
more
think
than
they
anything.
really want to move on from Merzlikins. I think Merzlikins wants to move on from the team at this point. They just need to find a team that is willing to take him. And so I think
I don't know
they're
a team that's willing to
hoping,
eat that contract though.
yeah, I think they're hoping
That's the
somebody will
tough
take
part.
him or he can go on waivers or something. And then they can have Greaves Fedotov, which might not be too bad. It might not be a bad young goalie tandem, but
Yeah,
we'll have to see about what happens with Merzlikins' deal.
yeah.
Um,
It is a big loss for Philly though. Obviously, you had a guy like Carter Hart who was up and coming, and he was going to be your goalie of the future going forward, and then everything that went down. You lose them, and then you're not getting them back. Like at the end of the day, for Philly, that does suck.
yeah,
Um, but they're gonna have to figure out a way to navigate around it, and you know the people that were saying like, oh, now the Fedotov deal looks dumb. It's like they didn't move Fedotov because they thought, Hart was coming back. Like Fedotov was
no,
going to the AHL in Philly anyways. So,
yeah.
you hadn't, if maybe he said, hey, you know what? There's no room for me. Get me out of here for all we know. And they said, sure, we got you. Columbus wanted him and did right by the player. I don't, we'll never probably
They were
fully know.
probably
But
thinking whatever about this guy at this point, and what did they get? A 6th rounder back? So,
yeah,
you got something, literally.
it's a Tronder.
But
That's usually when you can snag a European goalie or something in that. So maybe they'll just snag another goal at that pick or something. Um,
yeah,
Other than that, though, I don't really have much to say on it. That's kind of where all that's at.
yeah. Um, just before we get too far removed from it, I wanted to do my due diligence, but um, in the past, back to Connor Ingram, it was in 2021 where he went into the players assistance program for the first time for OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, that led to him drinking. So it was both of those things before.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
it wasn't cited specifically what he went in for this time, but he did enter the program in March after his mom died of breast cancer in December. So I think a lot of people linked that, which makes a lot of sense. So
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure I put
No,
that
yeah,
out there in case I was
for
wrong.
sure.
But um,
For sure, yeah.
Carter Hart, regardless of where he goes, what on earth do you think that contract looks like? Surely it's a 1-year deal,
It's a one by one, maybe
but
1 by 950K. Like he can't
do you
be
think
asking for a whole lot because it's like, all right, let's see your resume for the last year and a half. Oh, you haven't played one game.
it's not like he was stellar at the end of his time in Philly either? But
And I think these players returning kind of know like you're signing for pennies and you're trying to reestablish yourself because maybe not in terms of the NHL, but to a lot of outside, fans, there are a lot of people that are just kind of like, you're dead to me and whatnot. And now these guys are coming back in and they got to start from ground zero. Basically, everything they did before, you know, everything that went down is kind of irrelevant almost at this point. Like it's come
it's ve-
back in, earn your
it's
stripes, and
yeah, it's so interesting. I'm so curious what it's going to end like, because how I remembered it was he was a really good young hotshot goalie. Like people were talking about him, like this guy's going to win future Vesnas, kind of the way people are talking about Dustin Wolf almost. Like people
mhm.
were very high on him in his first few seasons. He had a 917, 914, had one down year of an 877 in way less games. So maybe there's injuries there. 905, 907, 906. So Not as
And these
bad
weren't
numbers as I
great
thought.
Flyers teams either.
There was a lot of Flyers fans online being like, "Why are people making a big deal out of this? He was not very good for us near the end." I mean, you guys are the ones who watched the team, sure, but like, I don't know. I'm not seeing any horrendous numbers beside that one outlier year, sandwiched between two pretty decent years. So he
And it's
played
not
pretty
like he ever
well.
had these great teams in front of him.
926 in 14 games played in the 1920 playoffs as well. Those are very
Yeah.
solid playoff numbers. 926, 14 games.
Those
That's actually
Flyers
really good.
fans, they're just in denial and they're upset that he's not coming back.
Yeah, it must be.
Because like again, they're, outside of Edmonton, like Philly is the team that could really use a true starting goalie the most.
Yeah.
And they're not getting that this year. So
Do you
tough
think
for them on that front.
do you think he's going to try and bargain for like a modified no trade? Like, do you
I
think,
doubt it. Well, you have no leverage in a contract
yeah,
negotiation.
just like
You
how
don't even
brutal
have a
would it
leg
be
to
for him
stand
if
on.
he, signed a 1-year deal and then at the deadline, hey, we're sending you to Edmonton because they called.
Well, I think maybe they would talk. I mean, like, I don't think there'd be a clause, but I think it'd be one of those things of like, maybe when he signs, just be like, more. All I ask is just, I don't want to go to a Canadian team for obvious reasons. Like,
Yeah.
and I imagine, GMs whatnot have the respect to be like, you know what, fair enough.
But like, why leave
I
it to
think
that?
that would
Like,
be.
do you think that's the difference between signing him and not signing him?
I
A
don't
one
think
by
so.
one deal, if he's adamant, no, I want an 8-team no trade list. That's not enough for me as a GM to be like, pound sand, I'm not signing you.
I think, I think they'd be at a point where it's if he's playing good enough to where you trade him, why wouldn't you just hold on to him then? He's would fit
Exactly.
most teams' timelines that he would go to, like,
So I kind of imagine
and
he's gonna
if
get
he's
a
playing
small
shit,
amount
no one would want
of
him.
trade. Yeah, I think he's
Maybe
gonna get a
I
small
doubt
amount of trade,
I doubt
but
they
like,
ask because again, like, him and his camp, they don't have a leg to stand on in negotiations. They'll just be pumped if he can secure an NHL deal and play in the NHL.
if they're giving you the time of day, they're at least somewhat interested. Yeah, I just think it's something that it'll probably happen because neither side. Yeah, like you said, it probably wouldn't come into play anyway. It just gives the player the reassurance. But
Maybe, but
it would be 10 teams or less, I would imagine, and it
and there's
wouldn't
only
have a
so
no
many
move.
teams that are going to be on because there's only so many teams that need another goalie
Who
playing
have
in
the
the
room to
NHL.
take a
So
flyer on a goalie.
you don't want to burn too many bridges and then be like, we're down to only one team calling. Oh, who's that team? Oh, it's Edmonton
Yeah.
calling. Well,
I could see him
and then
signing short term with the team, kind of building it back up, and then like honestly, like, you know, some time passes, people forget a little bit. It's not as much of a story when he comes back. I can see in a couple years Philly being like, "Hey, okay, some time's passed. Please
come
come
home.
back now."
Yeah, I definitely could. Yeah, yeah. I'm just very curious to see how it all kind of goes with these guys.
Yeah,
Speaking of, another guy from or I want to say trio players, but group of Canadian
yeah.
players here.
The
Michael
trials.
McLeod is not returning to New Jersey by the sounds of it. All signs are pointing to him signing with Carolina once he is eligible on October 15th.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that there?
I mean, we'll have to see. Obviously, these guys haven't played pro hockey in a bit, but at the very least, not NHL quality games in quite a while. But he was, other aside from Hart, the best of the players at the time that all of it came out. In my opinion, he was also the worst of them as
Yeah.
far as they came out how they looked. He's the only guy I hold a large amount of ill will towards, frankly. The rest of them, like, it ranges from negligence to stupidity, anywhere in there. It's not great, but like, he seemed to know what was going on a good amount more. There's a reason everyone had one count of stuff against him, and he had
And he had the
a
two.
couple.
Well,
So
he had the two, yeah.
yeah, so doesn't exactly make Carolina easier to cheer for if they go for that, but he was a good player. Yeah, I think he was good in the dot. So like, it's expected that he's going to end up somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, he was it was kind of him and Hart are the ones I was like they're going to return. In terms of the other three, their
We'll
NHL
see.
careers might just be done.
I don't see it. I could see. I saw somebody online saying that maybe Cal Foote will get picked up by Vancouver
I can't
and
see.
just play out his days in the AHL because his dad is the coach over there.
Well, his dad's the coach of the Canucks, though.
Yeah. So like
So
maybe
really,
he uses some pull to
yeah.
get him on the minor team and just literally get him a contract with some dollar signs. But like I don't think his foot speed was pretty brutal for a
Yeah,
defenseman.
he's not good. Like his
So I don't
didn't
see
work
him
out.
getting in many games.
Formanton, I think he just stays playing over in Europe and Dubé.
Yeah.
Who
Dubé
knows
maybe,
about him?
but it would be like a
Just there's so
PTO
much
or an AHL
inconsistency and
contract. They would have to prove
yeah,
themselves. They don't get to walk
yeah.
on to anything.
Yeah, for McLeod to Carolina though, I mean it kind of it makes sense for a destination for him, and of course, Carolina doing their shit, they're gonna get him cheap. I wouldn't be surprised if he signs a 5-year deal at $1 million per year because I think Carolina just has dirt on numerous players and can manage to get them all on great contracts, like insane. And I think they're kind of just they've tried out the Kotkaniemi experiment at center a lot, and they're just like, this shit's
Yeah.
not going anywhere. Like you just keep running it back, and it's highlighting the playoffs every year. They just get dominated. When eventually when they lose, and it's been to Florida, but having a potentially great face-off guy, good defensive centerman added into the mix there, definitely could help. So I think it's a move that makes sense for Carolina. And we'll see if that's the case. Again, nothing's confirmed, but all signs are pointing to that being the destination for McLeod.
Yeah. And if they show an interest, I mean, yeah, why wouldn't he sign there? They got a great young team. It's a good situation for him to get into. So
Yeah.
I could definitely see it. Yeah. I mean, what do you do with Kotkaniemi then? Do you think he can really
What
move
can
him?
you do? You can't trade him.
Like, I
Unless
don't
you're
know.
attaching your first round pick or one of Dallas's first round picks to move him. And then even then, you've got probably only 2 destinations for him, and that's San Jose or Chicago.
It would be really funny of Montreal to be like, we'll take him back for like a first.
But I mean, it would be
But
funny. But if you're Montreal, it's
they
like,
wouldn't
wow,
do it.
you just played yourselves into looking dumb.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't move him, like where
You
are
gotta
you
sit.
making
You gotta sit with it.
where are you making the room for McLeod? Because
I don't even know if
Kotkaniemi's already
they're
playing on the fourth line. He's already the fourth line center.
fucking AHL. Nah, healthy scratch. I don't know. I'm sure they would figure something. I don't even know what their lines look like. I'm just pulling them up here.
Their center
Ugh.
depth, Sebastian Aho, Stankoven, Jordan Stahl, Kotkaniemi.
I mean, I imagine like a Willem Carey. He's going to be on the fourth line. I don't think Taylor Hall re-signed to be a fourth line plugger there. Like, you're probably looking at a third line of Martinook, Stahl, and Taylor Hall. Wow, that's sick. Stahl and Taylor Hall. And then Carey on the fourth line. You've got Jankowski, who is sick for him. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not even going to speculate. I'm just going to say, you know what? I'll wait and see what they do.
They probably signed the guy.
Whatever I
and
say,
then,
it's not going to happen, so I don't even know why bother.
if I had to guess, they signed the guy, they signed McLeod, and then they don't, they give him a PTO if nobody else seems interested. But like, if you think somebody else is going to snag him, you might as well sign him to like league min and then just have him there in practice. And like, if you can show that give us a reason to put you in an NHL game over one of these guys. And, he hasn't played in a while. Maybe he doesn't, and it just doesn't go anywhere. But if he does, then, sorry, Kotkaniemi, you're sitting for 2 games.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what goes on there.
What do we got next here?
Kirill Kaprizov. So, has there been much of an update in the last few days that you've seen?
Not really.
So,
no.
For those who
just
somehow
going back to the original topic we discussed. last week or something, week and a half ago.
Yeah. Kaprizov turned down reportedly. I don't know if that's still held up or not. If people are still saying that's true, but it was reported that he turned down an 8-year, $16 million a season contract from the Minnesota Wild. That right now the current highest paid player in the league is reigning Rocket Richard Trophy winner Leon Draisaitl at 14 mil a season. So he would be making well more than anybody else. If he signed that, that entire contract would take him by the end of it to being the highest paid player of all time in the NHL. It would pass. He would pass Ovechkin, and so it's a big deal that he turned down. But it sounds like they are still trying to
Sounds
sign
like from
him.
his agent,
He doesn't want to leave
like
by the sounds of it.
That's well, his agent said that like it's kind of we're basically just getting a rerun of the Boston Swayman stuff, that we kind of saw throughout. And now this is a little bit different because it's an extension year and not, Kaprizov's without a contract right now, but
so we'll still be playing.
The rumor kind of gets leaked that Kaprizov turned this down, and then Kaprizov's agent is like, well, no, this isn't the case, but no final numbers were given out from that side. So it's kind of, again, two different sides. There's two different stories. They don't match up with each other. One side has numbers. The other side isn't giving any numbers.
Yeah.
So, who knows at this point? From what it sounds like is teammates of Kaprizov on Minnesota Wild are confident that a deal is going to get done. They believe he loves playing there. He wants to win there. And the team's going to find a way to sign him. I mean, yeah, I would assume if he really did get offered 16 for 8 years, that he would have taken it. But maybe it goes back to what you said before. Maybe he just wants a shorter term deal.
Kind of take the Austin Matthews route of signing multiple 3, 4, 5-year deals, and then you can, right now 16 looks like a lot, but if you sign a 3-year, 16 mil a season contract, by the end of that, Makar might be making 20 mil. Who knows what McDavid's going to make? He could probably get 22 mil in 3 years on his next contract for all we know. Yeah. So especially if he is the guy he thinks, and, maybe he wins a Hart trophy in there and Art Ross, this guy's kind of the limit for him. So I could see if that's the case. And also he doesn't want to lock in long-term and end up, if they don't win in the next, because it would be an extension. So in the next 9 years, if they don't win a cup there, that takes them to I think 37 or something. Yeah. So then he would be cup chasing at the end. So I could see him not wanting to lock in super long term for those reasons as well. But
yeah, I think there's kind of, because on the one side, then if he does want a shorter one, tomorrow Connor McDavid could come out and say, I'll sign for 14 million and 1 penny. Just to say, I'm the highest paid guy, and then all of a sudden, Kaprizov and his account, but you can't get more than 14 now. Because what's your argument? I deserve 15. Oh, you deserve more than Connor McDavid? No, you don't. And it'd be pretty tough to find any team out there would be willing to pay him more than.
I don't think it's necessarily that.
But that's the way that GMs and teams use for negotiation factors. They take the market as of right now.
But that doesn't mean he wouldn't get paid that money. I think if McDavid signed today for 14 even, Minnesota would still take a 15 by 8. They're just in a different situation. But there you go,
15 by 8. It's the 16's off the table. Because
I don't know if they actually did bring it in, because McDavid's not here. You can't have McDavid at 14, but you could have Kaprizov at 16. Not a lot of players in the league are that much better than Jack Hughes. There's a lot of guys signing for more than the 8 million.
Jack Hughes was signed 4 years ago now. But that's back then. Back then, that was kind of the norm for guys like that was to be signing that. Now we're kind of getting into that range where, for these top players, the norm is going to be that 14 to 16 range. Probably is kind of going to be
go up. I think it's going up quicker.
Well, I think by a year it will, but I think as of right now, I think that's kind of where we're at.
That's
It's
fair.
kind of
Yeah.
like a slow graduate because like last year was dry saddle at
Makar is
14. We
probably
kind of
going to
thought
reset the
Rantanen
market.
was going to come in there. Um, and so it's just kind of a slow increase each
Yeah.
year. Um, and again, people say, "Oh, well, Minnesota's got so much money because you look at their cap structure and it's beautiful with
It's
Boldy at
great.
7, Faber at 8.5, Eriksson Ek just a bit under 6, I think. So just because you have a lot of money to sign Kaprizov doesn't mean use up however much you want. Like,
Yeah.
if Kaprizov was willing to sign for 13, okay, well now that's an extra 3 mil you got. That gets you a phenomenal third pair defenseman. That gets you another
A
solid
defensive
third line winger
specialist
or
in the
something.
bottom
Like
six. Yeah.
that's yeah. So just because Minnesota has a lot of money doesn't mean go stupid with it. Because they had a lot of money
Yeah.
beforehand,
For
and look
sure.
how that worked out.
Yeah.
They
That's how you
spent it
get
all on
those
Parise and
albatross
Suter,
contracts.
and it didn't work out long term. It was fun in the moment because it was like, damn, this is sick for Minnesota, but long term, it didn't work out for them.
Yeah.
Um,
I think
I'm
if
curious to
I
see how
had
it
to
goes, but
guess, I
I think
imagine
he resigns.
Kaprizov's looking at it as like, I've kind of got Minnesota by the balls because without me, who knows what they are. So I think he's thinking if McDavid signs for cheap, that 16 mil is still going to be there. But if McDavid says, no, I want money and signs for 20 mil tomorrow, then he can go, okay, I'm worth 90% of McDavid. I want 18 or something.
Mhm.
Which, I mean, whether or not Kirill Kaprizov for multiple years is worth 18 million, we can definitely have that debate, especially with how the cap works. But I imagine some combination of a lot of the stuff we've said is how he's thinking about it. So it'll be interesting to see where the contract ends up. I'm hoping that he stays in Minnesota. I
I think he does in the
I like
end.
him
I
there.
think at the end of the day, Kaprizov and his camp, they are going to, in my opinion, I think they're going to grind it and drag it out for as long as they can to get him
The
the
most
most amount
money.
of money possible. Like that's at the end of the day, that's their goal. And I think, in my opinion, at least, I think Kaprizov is aligned with his camp. We've seen players in the past
Yeah.
where I can't remember
Uh,
the exact player, but it was
Mikko Rantanen
basically
last year.
yeah. Actually, that's the exact one. Yeah, he kind of got screwed over by his agent a bit because
His
that's
agent
from what it sounds
got
like they
burned.
weren't on the same page. But from kind of what it seems like for me, I think Kaprizov is right with his camp, and it's like let's grind and fight for
Yeah.
every ounce, and then we'll sign once it fits our needs, not necessarily
Yeah.
the Wild's needs exactly. And
I
I
could
think
I
that's
could
kind of the way
definitely
it's
see it
going. But
happening.
I think he does still resign at the end of the day. I don't think he leaves Minnesota.
Yeah. I would not be shocked if he signed in November, December, January, one of those usually more downtime months. And, maybe the offers increased a bit, has a good season, good start to the year, and they give him 8 by 16 and a half or something. And, over 8 years, that's another $4 million. So,
Yeah, but then if you're the Minnesota and he starts off to a great start of the season, then you just throw it back and be like, well, be healthy this year though. Don't become the favorite for the Hart Trophy and then go down with an injury. Stay
yeah.
healthy for another month, and then if you want this deal, then we'll give it to you, type of thing. It's because again, I believe if you are Minnesota, you should fight to try and keep it a little bit lower because again,
Yeah.
just because you have the money doesn't mean just spend it. You still got to be smart because you do have like what they've been doing is really good in terms of their contracts. And again, you can't lose Kaprizov, like you need to keep him. But I would hate to see Minnesota just get rolled in these negotiations. And
Yeah.
you keep a great player like Kaprizov, but you really kind of potentially could fuck up your future cap situation because of it.
Yeah. But, I mean,
We'll see what goes on. We
you'd have
got
him at
like
that
9 months.
8 years. It would
It
be
could go on
9
for.
years in total. Like one more year at 9, and then whatever deal would start. I mean, if the cap's going up that drastically, that might only be an overpay for 3 years, and then there might be a dozen guys making more than that already. You know,
Yeah, but like
Quinn Hughes, Makar. McDavid, if he wants money instead of to win, like, could all very soon get
I mean,
deals higher.
absolutely, yeah. But then you also put yourself at, when you've got future contracts coming up down the road, that's going to kind of be the comparison
Yeah,
within your team. Like I don't know how many years Matt Boldy's got left. I think 5 years left. In 5 years, if Kaprizov's making 19, you know, if Boldy's a 85,
yeah,
90
5 years left.
point guy at minimum, and he's in the Selke conversation every year, and instead of being like you give him 11 or 12 down the road, it's like, yeah, you might have to give him,
14, 15. Who
14,
knows?
15, potentially even 16 if he's got a Selke. I mean,
It's
'cause
gonna be
that's kind of
so
the biggest
interesting
thing
watching
is,
the cap go up. Like, we've
yeah,
seen it very slowly increase over our lifetime and watching hockey over the last decade, but now it looks like it's ready to explode, and, like, the numbers are gonna be so much weirder. Like, we're gonna have guys making a mil, 2 mil, and then we're gonna have guys up near 20 million. And
yeah.
it's gonna be such a bigger discrepancy. It's gonna be weird getting used to, you know,
And hey, we're like,
a
we're
a
all,
solid third liner might just cost you 6 or 7 mil in the future.
yeah. And we're all for the players getting paid, like this is awesome to see the players starting
A
to
100%.
make more money, get what they're worth. But at the same time, I will never, you know, shit on a team for trying to save as much money as they can, is because, again, because they have so many guys they got to pay. Their goal is to, win a cup and put the best team out there. They don't want to get rolled in one negotiation and have that cost them the next 10 to 15 years of their future. Like, look how long of a rebuild San Jose's going through, Chicago. A big part of it is because they handed out some contracts that really just fucked them,
Yeah.
and that put them
Vancouver
back a
taking
little bit. And
OEL
yeah,
L's deal.
like that's
Well,
that's something that,
the
yeah,
best example is Minnesota with Parise and Suter.
yeah,
They had to deal with those for what, 14, 15 years, something like that. So it'll be very interesting. And anyone who thinks in any of these types of conversations when they say like, "Oh, you don't want the players to get paid" or something like that, like that's just a bad faith argument.
yeah,
I don't think the GMs don't want them to get paid either. It's because we are cheering for teams in a hard salary cap league where if one player makes a lot of money, which we would like, but that means the team's going to be worse off for it. So, like, we're obviously just cheering for team success. It's not about the players' actual dollars.
yeah. Like we want the players to get paid, but at the same
Yeah.
time, we also understand that GMs have a job. Their job is to build a winning team, and I mean, look at Toronto. It's hard to do that when, I don't want to say you're overpaying guys, but you're paying a bunch of guys a lot of money and you can't fill out the team around them. Like that sucks. That's tough for a team to win.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, when people are blaming Toronto for not winning, they're blaming the players.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like want to try and blame Trillium, but it's like, well, what can he do? Look at these contracts. He didn't sign the majority of them.
Well, you know what? I would say a
Yeah.
guy like Brendan Shanahan is right up there with the players
Oh,
just because he had been there for a long
yeah.
time. But
Yeah.
yeah.
But then it's, the players get blamed for not performing, but people are
Yeah,
like,
the average viewer knows
players get paid.
Austin Matthews didn't score enough for us to win tonight. They're not they're not looking in depth enough to be like, oh, Shanahan handcuffed the last two GMs or whatever. Like, they're not going to get into
exactly.
that. They're going to see Mitch Marner having 0 points in a game 7 and yell at that.
Yeah. But again, 9 months potentially this Kaprizov situation could go on, so we'll keep tabs on it. We'll come back if we hear any rumors, and we'll see what happens down the road for a potential extension, or again, it's not off the table. Maybe a trade.
And
Anything's possible in the NHL right now.
just because we heard the still not like officially confirmed rumors of that deal, everyone's talking about that. There's still guys like Kyle Connor who are unsigned, but
Jack
people aren't
Eichel,
talking about it. Jack Eichel. Sounds like
Connor
he's
McDavid,
he's
like
looking to get paid.
Jason Robertson, Connor Bedard, like these are all guys that could have signed extensions already.
Connor
but
Bedard, who knows what that's going to look like. So
yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if, as the season starts, if a couple of those get signed before the regular season kicks on.
Yeah.
And
What's last year to wrap up the news section here?
the last one we got is the Vegas Golden Knights. Alex Pietrangelo said earlier today, maybe 2 or 3 hours before recording this, that he is not ruling out a return this season. I don't know exactly what that means for their cap situation, but as I understand it, if a player is out for the entire season, including playoffs, you get the entire 100% of the contract is taken off your salary cap. The thing is, obviously, you can't wait until the end of the playoffs to give them that cap relief back in February, back in September, right? That doesn't make sense. So I believe you have to say, as the season starts, whether or not a player is never going to play again, like a Carey Price situation or a Brent Seabrook type, or, if Pietrangelo says, maybe I can play, even if he ends up being out all year, if there's that enough doubt that they allow him to be eligible to come back, then they only get the certain percentage off, which I believe the most cap relief they get is 3.8 mil. Which,
Mhm.
if they're only getting that, Vegas is well over the salary cap at that point.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think they were
I
really
think it's
banking on
that
him
he wasn't going to
saying,
play.
"I'm out."
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering if this is going to end up being a shitstorm, because if Pietrangelo comes out publicly and is like, "I can't play right now, but I think I might be able to return later this year." And then if Vegas's doctors come out and go, "Oh, this guy's definitely not playing this year. We need all the cap money." That that looks very sketchy.
Yeah.
And that's
Yes. Right.
exactly the type of stuff they're trying to close with these new rules that got pushed up a season to avoid this exact type of situation.
Yeah. Because I don't know what you do if you get to the a week after the trade deadline and all the deals are finalized and Petrangelo's like, I'm feeling good, I want to return. And like, what do you do then? You can't bring him back because salary cap's now a thing in the playoffs.
But the thing is,
You know,
if he
how do
is
you
medically
free up
cleared to
8 mil?
return,
Like,
he is, as long as they do it how they're supposed to, as soon as he's medically cleared to return, his cap is back on the books.
and you most likely probably lose Jack Eichel
So, yeah, what happens
because
to
of all of a
them
sudden
in the
now,
middle of the season when that happens? What happens in the future? Like,
yeah.
it's a
Well,
very
yes. What
interesting
happens
scenario.
if you sign Jack Eichel to say 15 mil for 8 years, and that kicks in next year, and all of a sudden Petrangelo's like, I'm back, I'm playing. It's like, you used up that Petrangelo money because you didn't think he was ever coming back to give to Eichel, and now some Petrangelo's coming back. Like then you're like, I don't
They would
fully
be
know because
between 4 and 5 mil over the cap, I believe, if that
yeah,
happened.
you kind of put Vegas in a bind because it kind of seemed like Vegas was expecting that he wasn't going to play it all this season. Like his
Yeah.
full contract was just going to go on LTIR, and they had all that money to play. But now, if he's saying, he could potentially return, I mean, I don't know what this all means. I don't even know. I can't even speculate because I really, truly just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like they've got some guys that they could potentially move out. Like, does that make it, if and if he's actually coming back, like, good enough that he will be like an impact player, not just like forcing his way back into the lineup, which I don't think he would do. You know, having Petrangelo
Mm.
probably makes your odds of winning better than a guy like William Karlsson, who's making 5.9.
Yeah,
Vegas, as far as we can tell, they have loyalty to winning, and that's it. I could definitely see
yeah,
them, you know, modified no trade on Carlson's contract, a 10-team no trade list. So plenty of teams you could send them for the last 2 years. 5.9, send that out. You might be able to fit Petrangelo's cap hit, but that's
yeah.
also not including any other moves they would make in the season as well.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I really just I got no idea.
yeah,
I'm just gonna
it's already
go through
very
it just as I'll see
confusing.
what happens down the road.
Yeah, it's already very confusing, and now we got a new CBA, and parts of it are brought forward, but not all of it. There's a lot of moving parts. It's difficult to keep up with, and the
Mhm.
fact that we don't know what the player or the team's thinking. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of just we'll have to wait and see on that one.
Yeah, I think that's kind of similar to a lot of stuff right now. It's all we can do. Wait and see and go from there. Our last major segment here before we start to wrap up the episode here. The Athletic player polls. The Athletic recently on
Yes.
September 17th, they released a new player poll. So pretty much they gathered a group of current NHL players and asked them some questions and gave the results. So I've only seen, I think, two of these. I know you haven't really seen much of these, so we'll kind of just
Yep.
go through them and just raw reactions here and see what we get, see what happens, see what we think.
I love it.
The first one, so the usual, the top team on players trade me here list. I think you could probably list off, I think, the top four pretty easily.
Vegas, Florida, Tampa, Dallas.
Yeah, literally 4 for 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Florida there was 40 responses here. Florida got 14, Dallas got 6, Tampa and Vegas got 5. The Rangers got 3, Colorado 2.
I was gonna have the Rangers in there. They
And
were
the
around it.
following teams each got 1 vote. The Vancouver Canucks, the Washington
Connor Bedard.
Capitals, the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Winnipeg Jets, and the Nashville Predators.
Do you think
Who the
player
fuck put Nashville? I'm fine with the Winnipeg one. Who the fuck put Nashville?
Well, apparently Nashville's an incredible place to live.
Oh, okay. I mean,
Sounds
if you
like.
want just somewhere to live, but you want to just
Yeah. Like a retirement
never win a cup
team.
for the next,
Yeah, it looks rough.
they're in a
There.
rough
Maybe a
spot.
guy who's already won a cup.
No, maybe. Yeah.
I wonder, do you think the guy who said Winnipeg, do you think he plays there? Or do you think it's somebody
don't know
else?
because it's your trade me here list. So I'm assuming it was probably they were asked that.
And other than
you can't,
your team.
you can't pick the team you're on. Like if you were to get traded, what would be your top one?
Interesting.
So I'm assuming maybe just a guy that's from Winnipeg or
a
from
guy from
Manitoba,
Winnipeg.
and just likes it there. I think still to this point in the year, I think in Canada the warmest recorded day or recorded temperature across Canada this year was in Winnipeg at one point. So
Really?
can get very
Wow.
cold, but also can get pretty nice. So
Did you say Edmonton at all?
no, I didn't.
No.
Why
Back-to-back
would you?
Cup Finals. McDavid, Draisaitl. Not even one vote. There was a vote for Vancouver, a vote for
Winnipeg,
the Leafs, a vote for Winnipeg, not the
Nashville,
Oilers.
not the Oilers. No.
Interesting. No California teams either. No guys like, hey, big market LA Kings. None of that. Interesting.
No. The next one here, there was 36 responses. With the salary cap skyrocketing, are you more open to short-term deals? What do you think the majority said?
I got to imagine a lot of them said yes because more money.
You would be correct. 21 of the 36 said yes, 7 said no, and 8 said can go either way. They're indifferent.
I wonder how many of the yeses almost should have answered the either way. Like, just because the way it's phrased of like, are you open to it? So saying yes doesn't mean you're going to take shorter deals for more money. It means you're open to the idea, right?
Means you're more open to it.
Yeah. But it's, if you have, especially for guys who, haven't had concussions since junior hockey or have never had one, guys who haven't had any big injuries, they're probably playing thinking, well, yeah, I'm a bit of an Iron Man. Like, why? I'm not going to get injured. I don't need to lock in a big deal to get my money. I can keep re-upping for more. So, and
absolutely.
If you want to make it to the NHL, even if you're a fourth liner, you're still every season betting on yourself going, I know I'm good. I can improve and make more money next year. Unless you're like aging out, like 33 or older, you're probably thinking, I'm going to try and be better next year and make more money. Like they're not planning for falling off.
No, I don't think so. Won't dive into all these, but I thought this was a fun one because it talks about the Olympics. Besides hockey, which Olympic sport are these players most looking forward to watching? I'll just have you just see if you can try and guess the number one
To
answer.
watching. I was wondering if they're gonna ask like, what would you play? What would you do you think you
Yeah,
could
no, yeah,
be in
just
if you were there?
because I think it's like while they're over there, if you get the opportunity, what would
Right.
you want to go watch?
Um. So, other than hockey, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What are those guys like? Do they have golf in the Olympics?
Well, this I guess Winter Olympics.
Oh, Winter Olympics as well. Okay.
Yeah, Winter Olympics. Yeah.
I mean, there's enough Canadians in the league. You got to assume curling's up there.
Um, Curling got one
I
vote.
imagine. Okay, one vote. Probably the same guy who wants to go to Winnipeg.
Yeah,
Um,
honestly, probably.
their logo kind of looks like a curling thing. Uh, skiing.
Yeah, that was it. All ski events, downhill skiing was the
Yeah.
most popular one. Um,
Are there any weird
the
ones?
next,
Anyone saying weird? Are they
alpine
giving any weird stuff?
skiing, snowboarding, cross country skiing, speed skating, biathlon, ski jump. So no, all kind of
Okay.
irregular. I'm surprised no one said bobsledding. I was enjoying
Yeah.
watching that one.
Yeah. Bobsledding's
That's
kind of
more
cool
of
to
like
watch.
a fourth line grinder type one to probably watch. So that's
Yeah.
probably what they're into.
Pat Maroon sits down with his popcorn watching the bobsled finals.
The next one, there's 38 responses. How much do you expect Connor McDavid to sign for? What do you think the majority of players
Are they
expect
all
McDavid to sign for?
are they numbers or are they like
Yeah,
ranges
yeah,
or
the number ranges for the most part.
okay.
Just kind of throw out a number that you think. You don't even have to throw out the range. Just throw out like what you think that the dollar amount is that most
Do you
would.
think are any of them saying like 20 million?
I'm not saying anything. You got to throw out a guess first.
No, that's my guess. 20 million.
Oh, three of the 38 responses did say 20 mil.
Is there an option on there
Even
to
though
just
the
say
current
like
max is
maximum?
so
Like
not
20% of the cap?
one player said 19.1 million, which is the current max. Um, four said 18 to 19, two said 17 to 17.9 mil, 13, which was the majority, said 16 to 16.9. Nine
Ah.
players said 15 to 15.9 mil, and then six just said whatever he wants.
Yeah. You know what? That's also fair. And
It
you know
also
what?
says
That's
note.
realistically that's the correct answer.
It does say at the bottom in the note, two votes for the a lot and one for just give him everything are included in the whatever he wants tabulation. So one player just said, just give him everything.
Give him everything. No, that's fair. I mean, yeah.
That's the guy who probably voted Winnipeg.
You are still getting a deal if you sign hit Connor McDavid for 20% of the cap.
Yeah,
Especially if there's term.
absolutely. Considering he factors in on like over 50% of the team's goals every year. Like
that number probably goes up in the playoffs too. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The next one, how much do you expect for Kirill Kaprizov to sign for? 35 responses on this one.
What are the players gonna say? Cap's going up, but also Draisaitl signed last year for 14. I'm just gonna go 14 mil or in that range.
The majority was in the 15 to 15.9. So funny enough, that's the just one tier lower than what the majority was
That's
for McDavid.
okay.
Two
And only
players said
100,000 K away from what was allegedly offered to him. So
yeah.
the
Two
players are
players
close.
said 12 to 12.9. Eight said 13 to 13.9. Six, 14 to 14.9. Kind of all over the place. One did actually say 19.1, the current max.
Wow.
And then there was two in the other category. One of the players just said a lot. So there's one guy that just says a
Didn't
lot to
I was
both
gonna
of them.
say, yeah, that's gotta be the same guy.
And the other one was a player said $1 less than McDavid. That's pretty
Yeah.
pretty wild. Um, Here's a fun one.
Interesting.
This is a fun one. Not including current stars, who's the next face of the NHL? I know we briefly kind of discussed this one a
Yeah,
little bit, but I'll
I
let you
think we
take a
did.
guess. 39 responses in this one,
The top one was Macklin Celebrini, I believe, right?
with 24 of the 39 votes.
It's crazy that he has so many more than Connor Bedard already. Like, just 1 year apart, and they're really high on what he's doing there. I'm You know what? Who are the other answers? Are there any
Well,
other
the
answers
reason,
beside those two?
um, well, because we talked about it before that I think this was, oh no, these were two separate ones. But one player said they feel that Celebrini is a crossbreed of Sidney Crosby and Patrice Bergeron, which
Right.
is pretty high praise after 1 year. So Celebrini got 24 votes. Gavin McKenna, who hasn't even been drafted yet, has 4. Connor
Right.
Bedard got 3. Matthew
Bedard got
Schaefer
less
got
than
2.
McKenna.
Yeah. Matthew Schaefer got 2. And then there was 6 other players that each got 1 vote. Jack Hughes got 1, which I feel like he's already a current star, in my
But
opinion.
no, I think that's a great answer. Like, because he's not the face of the NHL. Who's the next face of the NHL? Not an all-star. Like, I've been waiting for you to say Cale Makar. Like,
Oh, he's a current star.
but he's not the face of the NHL. That's Connor McDavid.
So then why is no one voting Nathan McKinnon?
Yeah, I
I
feel like
think
you want
they
to go
mean out of
young.
this crop of like they're talking about basically young players, like guys that are
Yeah,
coming up in the league that
yeah,
still
it's
have
open to
a
interpretation for sure.
15-year window. Yeah.
But I
Because by
just
that
thought
logic, Cale Makar might never be the face of the league. Nathan McKinnon might never be the face of the league. There's a chance
no,
Connor McDavid just outplays him. Is Connor McDavid even the face of the league? You still have Sidney Crosby.
I think
Like,
McDavid is at this point, but who could say
but
when it
basically,
happened?
the question is, kind of younger players, like not including the
Sure.
guys that are in the headlines every night, winning awards year after year, like the next wave of guys coming in.
Right.
But the players to receive 1 vote: Jack Hughes got 1, Matvei Michkov got 1, Lane Hudson got 1, Leo Carlson, Zane Perek, and James Hagens all receiving 1 vote
Ah,
there. So
some fun answers in there. I like that.
yeah. And I totally agree. I think Celebrini's face of the league. 39 responses on this one. What do you think of going to 84 game seasons? 39 responses. There's like it, hate it, mixed feelings. What do you think got the majority?
I'm gonna have to assume they said like it because they agreed to a CBA that's doing it.
So 3 players had mixed feelings. 4
Wow.
hate it. 32 of the 39 responses said they like it.
I did not think it was going to be near that. I thought there was a very good chance
It's
mixed
a
would.
landslide.
I thought 90% might end up having mixed just because it's a bit of a cop out answer and it's easy to be on the fence, but wow.
So it said, in another landslide, players are more than willing to play 2 more regular season games in exchange for a 13-day training camp. I don't know how long they normally were. Fewer preseason games, which I know they were advocating for, and
Yeah.
no fitness testing starting in 26-27.
Yeah.
So that's a big one probably as well for them, no fitness testing.
Right.
We'd all rather play than practice. One player said, the return was worth 2 more games. More games means more money, which means higher cap.
Yep. The more money the league brings in, it's split 50-50 owners and players. So
I'd rather play meaningful games than 2 more meaningless preseason games.
that's huge. Like that genuine that's I'm nowhere near an NHL player, but I feel like that's about what my answer would be. If I go out there and I have a 2-goal game in the preseason, I'm like, yeah, I'm ready for the year. But I'm probably also thinking, I wish that was in my stat column a little bit.
Yeah.
Like,
one young Western Conference forward said, I do feel bad for young guys trying to get seen. The 2 less preseason games may hurt them.
I see what they're getting at.
So that's that's understandable for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't love how many
yeah,
young players get into them though. I think they need to start putting in a rule where like honestly, like 80% of your roster needs to be like your NHL roster in the preseason. Cause like
well, because
they
they're
have
constantly making cuts almost after like every game. Like they're
yeah.
slowly dwindling the
I feel like
roster
that
down.
I feel like that should be done by preseason, you know? Like there's
But how do you
prospect
determine it?
because there's prospect games, there's training
But that
camps, there's all this
but
stuff for
that's
like a
not.
month leading up. Like
Yeah,
the preseason
if you're
shouldn't be for new players to get into the NHL. It should be for all the NHL guys to get ready for the regular season. That's how I see
but
it.
then how do you even get a sniff of your prospects? Because you could have a
All
prospect
the
that goes
prospect
out
games
there
beforehand.
and yeah, but you've got prospects that go out there and just fucking dominate, and then you're like, well, you did good against a bunch of guys who have no NHL experience. You're on the team, like no, you need to give these guys a chance to play against established NHL players that are more
Yeah, that's why
established.
it would be around
Because prospect
80%. So you
scrimmages are
can still
kind of
have
not
for
full on games type of thing.
yeah.
Like they're
I think it
you
should be
know
somewhere around 75, anywhere from like 70 to 80-ish percent, something like that. So you can have 4 or 5, I think, on a roster, something like that, young guys.
why do you
But
want
then
like, all
there's
your
still
top players playing every preseason game?
well
Like when
to get them in
they don't
shape.
want to really,
The
but they
whole
don't really
point of the
want to.
preseason is to get them in shape for it, isn't it?
But most players are like we don't care for the preseason. Like most starting players are fine with sitting out most preseason games and being like, okay, I'll play the last
Yeah.
one to kind of get me ramped up, and then I'm good to go. Like the preseason is more for you know, I mean it is to get players going, but players are already ready by then. Like they're
Yeah.
at least the established ones. I know the goalies
Yeah.
actually are really in favor of the preseason. Like I
Yeah.
understand that,
Goalies view it
but
very differently.
I've always kind of viewed the preseason as a way for the coach to try out some line combinations and see if some stuff works. Because again, doesn't matter if you win or lose preseason games,
But if your
and then to
team's
kind of give
90%
some
AHL
rookies
guys,
a
you're
a
not
look.
if you're trying a ton of AHL guys, like over half your roster, you're not actually trying out any lines you'll
But
use.
you're trying out players that you think are prospect that like they're going to make the team, and like for we use Tampa for
I
example.
I almost
Would
feel
you
like there should be
rather?
multiple preseason, and there should be however I don't know how many games, but 5 games of prospect preseason, 5 games of NHL preseason, and one you can try out all kinds of stuff, and then you can
You've got 3 weeks
narrow it
of
down.
preseason. Like players don't want that. They're trying to shorten the preseason, not. I think the way they do it is fine. Like to me, I don't give a shit. I don't watch because you can't even watch the preseason games on TV.
Makar took a high hit the other day from some guy I've never heard his name, and Landeskog went ahead and fought him afterwards. He took exception to it.
But
Like
you want all the NHL players playing all of them. That's going to happen regardless.
it's not going to happen if it's a bunch of NHL players who don't have to prove themselves with a high hit in the preseason.
But then you just watch them go out there and play shinny and flip the puck around and
Well,
like
so maybe at that point we should be
no
getting rid of the
then,
preseason. If it, I feel like
you
it should
can't
be
do
for
that.
the NHL
You can't
players,
just
and if they don't want it, we should get rid of it.
why does Cale Makar even need to be playing the first preseason game?
Well, so why are we pretending they're NHL preseason games if Makar's not playing? You know,
But
it should
that's what I
just
think,
be a
'cause you just
prospect game
say
at that point.
players are going to get hurt regardless. It could happen in the preseason. It could happen in the start of the regular season. It's about giving these players a chance to show themselves. And if you tell a player, hey, you dominated against other prospects that never played an NHL game, you're on the team now, and then they go out there and they
Well,
struggle against top
that's why
talent,
it's
then you're
75%, and then you would have those slots you can fill in with those guys who dominated.
I'm fine with the way that
I just think there's too
I do
many.
like that it's shortened though. Like it's not like every
Yeah,
team's playing, the 8 or
yeah. Frankly,
9
I
games
wouldn't care if they got
potentially.
rid of the preseason.
Well,
As soon as
goalie said you can't though.
sure,
Like goalies need it more than anything.
I you'd find something to do there.
Goalies are also little. They're just a different breed and all that. But I'm fine with
Maybe if they were
the way it
practicing at
goes.
game speed, they wouldn't need more games, you know?
Yeah. They should take up that Florida mentality.
But
Who's the NHL defenseman you find the hardest to compete against? There was 41 responses.
The hardest
In this
to
one.
compete against. I'm going to assume there's a bit of a mix of how guys took that. I imagine the top one is Cale Makar.
Cale Makar is number one with 10 votes.
I assume Quinn Hughes is number 2.
Quinn Hughes is number 4 with 5 votes.
He's down number 4. I imagine Jacob Slavin is up there.
Jacob Slavin number 2 with 8.
He is number 2. I thought he would be number 3. Victor Hedman.
Victor Hedman is tied for 5th with 2 votes.
Adam Fox.
Adam Fox, not even on the list. And from what I've been reading recently, teams are pumped to play against him and target him specifically. Is some stuff that I've been hearing.
I don't know, man. Maybe other people see it differently. They must. Jeez.
Well, the players do at least. I've seen clips of players on the mic and they're like, "Yeah, target Fox, take it up his side, put pressure on him." Like,
okay, I guess.
Look in the Four Nations. He kind of did get his side got targeted a lot more. I still think Adam Fox is a fantastic player. But
people are acting like he's Evan Bouchard, man.
Some players, they do treat him that way. In third, you got a 2-time Stanley Cup champion.
A 2-time Stanley Cup champion?
Back-to-back Stanley Cup champion.
I was going to say, is it like Ekblad?
Close. Other side. Left side.
Forsling? Is it?
Gustav Forsling with 6 votes.
Wow.
I'll tell you the other player tied with Victor Hedman at 2 because it might take a while to get there. Roman Josi is in the other category with 1 vote. Esa Lindell got 2 votes.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you said that because I wouldn't have guessed him. Is Rasmus Dahlin on there?
Rasmus Dahlin got 1 vote.
Wow. He got 1 less vote than Esa
This
Lindell.
is a very interesting list of players in the others. So the usuals that you'd suspect to at least get a vote. All these guys got 1 vote. Roman Josi, Drew Doughty, Charlie McAvoy, Rasmus Dahlin, Miro Heiskanen. But there's 3 other players in here that are, I think, on here not because of their skill, but I think for another physicality reason.
A Radko Gudas, a Jacob
Radko
Trouba.
Gudas, and Nikita Zadorov.
And Zadorov.
So just big defensemen that just play the body, basically.
So some guys hear who's hard to play against, and they think, what defenseman makes the other team win? They answer Cale Makar. Or who makes it really hard to make any plays? Jacob Slavin. And then some guys, they see everything in black and white, and they have war flashbacks to getting demolished by Radko Gudas, and they're like, yeah, that sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
This one, pretty easy. You should be able to get 39 responses. Do you think the NHL should have an award for best defensive defenseman?
Yes.
34 of them said yes. 4 of them said no. I don't know why. And then 1 just said they're indifferent. So I respect that guy. There's 1 player here that I think is connected through it all. I think this indifferent guy.
That indifferent said
a lot.
The guy who picked
Winnipeg. The guy who told McDavid.
We got to do some research and figure out who this freak is.
Yeah.
Do you think that's Taves? Do you think Taves didn't count as being on the Jets yet?
No, because the survey was conducted.
He doesn't even know what contracts are being signed for nowadays. He's been out of the league long enough. He's like, a lot, probably.
Oh, it was just give him everything.
Just give him everything.
That was the last one on the list here.
That was pretty good.
I really
like the Athletic and the NHLPA and all them like doing these polls. Like,
I would love to know. I mean, they don't even know who the players are, obviously, but that'd be so cool to know like which players are on which side of these arguments.
Well, because you got to imagine, at least one of the two votes for Essa Lindell is probably on the Stars. Drew Doughty's probably a guy like Kevin Fiala or something.
But why
Maybe
would
like
they vote that? Like it's probably guys that it's probably like my guess is the guys that for like SNL, it's probably guys from Colorado, maybe Winnipeg, like teams that go up against him a lot, and maybe just went up against him, in the playoffs there and kind of got shut down by him. Would be
that's why it'd be
my
so
guess for that
interesting
type
to
of thing.
see. Because like
Like
I
the
get
guy
the
who put
feeling it's a
Radko
lot of
Gudas is
a lot
probably
of guys
someone who got a major conk and
probably
maybe
somebody
a
got
broken
bodied.
neck or something from him or something like that. Like
Teemu
that kind of
Solani.
like that kind of stuff, right?
I would be very interested to see if it's a lot of guys pumping their teammates' tires or if a lot of them like avoid answering their teammates. I imagine there's some guys who avoid it. I feel like there's a lot of dudes who are, guys on the Lightning who will say Hedman's the best defenseman, stuff like that.
Yeah.
The answer for Yossi might be Philip Forsberg. Like that would be so fun to see which guys answer all their teammates, and then which guys are like, no, Slavin's really hard to beat. Like you can't score against him. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah. I did put in here that we had a game to wrap it up. I didn't have one prepared. I slacked on that, so I'll have something prepared for us on Friday's episode. We're ramping back up into slowly getting there, the regular season. We are full-time, 2 episodes a week, again, as usual, as we have been doing. I know coming up, we still have our final predictions heading into the season where we'll do our final awards predictions and all that type of stuff. And, now we're at the point now where more and more news is just going to slowly start to trickle out, come through, and then we can,
and there's games.
All that as it comes
we have
out.
games we can talk about.
There's
we
games
can talk
to
about actual on-ice stuff, which will be just fantastic.
Yeah, so we got lots to discuss in the coming weeks, lots to go over, and again, we're on the road to the regular season. It's coming up quick. Can't wait for it. If you want to talk hockey, let us know your thoughts on anything we discussed today or in the previous episodes. Can do so at any of our socials. The link to all of them are down in the description across all platforms on every episode, all that fun stuff. Braden, before we wrap this one up here, final thoughts.
Final thoughts? If you listen all the way to the end and you get to hear these parts, thank you for listening. And yeah, like sincerely, use the YouTube comments, use our social medias, like use any of that stuff. Let us know what, if there's stuff we didn't cover that you'd like us to cover. Let us know what you think on the things we did cover. Like get some feedback going, because we've had a couple people reach out for some things, and like, there's some things that I think are like a slam dunk, like everyone's of this opinion, right? And then it turns out that is not the case at all. So it's always fun to interact with you guys when you're in the comments and whatnot. So if you're listening,
we always say hockey fans are the best fans. So
yeah, we're always saying that. You love Oilers fans.
Never once fucking said that. Never once said that. Never once said that. It's not true. It's not true. And it never will be true. Not Mike. I don't know. There are some good Oilers fans, but every fan base has their
every fan base has
every fan base does. Yeah.
But every fan base is majority good ones. I feel like, some bad ones are just real loud.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, right?
Yeah. We'll see that once Philly's back into the playoffs, probably.
I can't wait. I'll be on the bandwagon. I'll be one of the bad ones.
Flyers fans are probably so annoyed. They're probably so annoyed that nobody's hating on them right now. I feel like they're a fan base that would appreciate a shit talking them a little bit, because they miss people being annoyed with them. Yeah. Which I respect that.
That does it for this episode. One final time. Hope you all enjoyed. And as always, we'll see all of you lovely people out on the ice later this week.